If a person shares credit with God, are they the same person in a Trinity? Well, to see what I'm talking about, let's go with the familiar teaching and a familiar verse. Let's start off with John 2:19. Very familiar to Trinitarians, goes on to say, Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." NASB, and of course he's talking about his body, so we all know this. And let's connect it with Acts 10:40, WEB translation. God raised him up the third day and gave him to be revealed. So Trinitarians will tell you, well, in one case, Jesus said, I'll raise it. In this case, God raised them up. You know what? They must be the same person. They're all part of a Trinity. So let's look at other verses in the Bible that do the same thing. And let's see if we can conclude that they're Trinity too. Let's start off with Joshua. Joshua 10:26. Good News Bible goes on to say, Then Joshua killed the kings and hanged them on 5 trees, where their bodies stayed until evening. Let's see what kings Joshua killed. In Joshua 10:5, it goes on to say, King James Version, here's these kings that we're talking about that Joshua killed. Therefore, the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, gathered themselves together and went up, they and all their host, and encamped before Gibeon and made war against it. So Joshua killed these kings, the Amorite kings. So now that we know Joshua killed these kings, let's notice a scripture in the Psalms. Psalms 135. And 6 helps us to see who we're talking about here before we go any further. It says, whatsoever the Lord pleased, that did he in heaven and in earth, in the seas, in all deep places. So we're talking about the Lord. It goes on to say in 7, he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. Okay, so we're talking about the Lord in Psalm 135. Let's move on to Psalm 135 and 10-12. He smote many nations and slew many kings, Sihon, king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan, and all the kingdoms of Canaan. And he gave their land as a heritage to Israel, his people. But wait, hold on. And all the kingdom of Canaan. Wow, but I thought I just read Joshua just did that. But Psalm 135 is saying the Lord did it. Is Joshua and the Lord part of a Trinity too? Wow, interesting. Let's keep going. Notice in 1 Chronicles 18:1. It says, in the course of time, David defeated the Philistines and subdued them, and he took Gath and its surrounding villages from the control of the Philistines. So David did this. David defeated the Philistines and subdued them. So let's keep going. We want to look at 1 Chronicles 18:13. Goes on to say, he put garrisons in Edom, and all the Edomites became servants to David. Yahweh gave victory to David wherever he went. What? But I just read David defeated, but it's saying Yahweh gave victory to David wherever he went. Is David part of the Trinity too? Because they're both kind of sharing the same credit. Just like we read in that scripture about Jesus raising him up from the dead, and then we read God did it. Man, so now we got Joshua and David part of the Trinity too. Let's keep going. Notice in Jeremiah 1:10 goes on to say, "See, today I appoint you over nations and kingdoms to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant." So Jeremiah is over nations and kingdoms. Now let's just go 10 chapters ahead. Notice in Jeremiah 10:6-7, NIV translation goes on to say, "Lord, there is no one like you, for you are great, and your name is full of power. Who would not fear you, O King of nations?" What? Lord, King of nations? But I thought I just read Jeremiah was over the nations. But wait, here it's saying the Lord is the King of the nations. What? So wait, they're both sharing the same credit, and is Jeremiah part of the Trinity too? So we have Jeremiah, David, now Joshua, all part of the Trinity because they all share the same credit. Interesting. Notice, I never used the New World Translation and still concluded that the Bible doesn't teach one God in three. Also, hold on. What else do I want to point out? One second. Just to let you guys know, stay tuned for future videos such as, can you lose salvation after getting saved? That'd be a good one. Does the Bible teach hellfire? Oh, another good one. And many, many more doctrinal videos. Please feel free to leave negative comments, positive comments, true comments, and false comments. Thank you all so much.